Shortbread's left Formula 1, but he's returned, and he will be driving for Red Bull, but not this week. Zalan left the leagues. You may remember he had a pretty poor race at Bahrain last week. And I'm just trying to figure out who the other absentees are. We don't have telemetry available at the moment because we're having some server issues with it, but if we get it, we will let you know. I just need to remember to skip the intro so I don't get copyrighted. KRR19F1, good evening to you as well. So without telemetry, it's going to be the old-fashioned way of keeping an eye on things. And you are correct, Johnny Greenwood, that is why Shortbread is not competing this evening in F1, as per the league rules. So if you have any questions about last week's race, if you missed it, feel free to ask, or any questions about this race in general. 12-minute short qualifying session, of course. Looks like it's dry out there. I'm going to try and find out what the weather for the race is. But as we can see, it's a quiet garage at the moment as we wait for the first drivers to go out for their flying runs. Slightly longer circuit than the Bahrain, so less time to get your laps in. And Nick Pine is the first to emerge in the McLaren. Didn't have the best of races last week, was caught up in lap 1 incident, so ended up finishing 15th. Had a brilliant battle with Lordyboy. It actually may have been 14th he finished, but he had a great battle with Lordyboy in the midfield. But he'll be hoping to be closer to the front. He was one of the title contenders in F1 in the last season of the F1 2016 era. And here's Louis, who we heard from earlier in the pre-race interview. Brilliant result for him last week, 2nd place for Toro Rosso. Really outshone Big C that day, but of course Big C was also caught in the Turn 1 incident. And with Big C missing at least this race, it does certainly open up championship for everyone else in terms of beating him, because Big C didn't compete in F1 last season, having won his 7th championship the previous season. So there's a real incentive for one of these guys to be the first to beat Big C when he's been competing in F1 this season, but I get the sense that Big C is focused perhaps less on PSGL, having won that 7th title, but you would be a fool to rule him out even after missing races. So let's just see, I'm just going to work out if there's any other absentees tonight. Let's see then. No, Aaron's here. They're all on their outlap, so yeah, so it looks like the Ferrari Greenie LFC123 is not here. Shortbread's not here in Big C, so yeah, three drivers missing this evening. 17 grid, so that's plenty enough for a good motor race this evening at China. Incidentally, in the grid today we have previous winners of this race in PSGL for this particular division. Jamie was the last winner of this particular race when it was run in F1, which I believe was a wet affected race, and he'll be hoping for another similar race because we all know how good Jamie is in the wet. And Iran, former world champion of this division, 3-time champion I believe, he's won this particular race twice in the past on previous games, so those two will have plenty of experience of this particular track. But as ever, without a timing screen that actually works, it will be tricky for me to keep track of all the time, so I will do my best to do that for you. So let's go on board with MaxiLuca, who's on his flying lap. Pole position and race victory last week. Let's just see Quite a nice yellow and red helmet there. Hines setting the early pace, I believe. We're going, and Jake straight into the low 33s, but I think some of these will be going into the 32s very shortly. And Joel, and there's Jamie for 132.793. And Louis going even quicker for 132.726. Let's see what MaxiLuca can do on his first flying run. Just over 7.5 minutes of the session to go. Onto home straight, pretty decent exit. Not sure if that was good enough. Let's see. MaxiLuca, a 132.771, so I think he just missed out. It is very tight for the top positions. At the moment, I think Louis has the best time with a 7.26, Oogie with a 7.27, and MaxiLuca with a 7.71. That's incredibly tight at the moment. And Jamie also in the 32.7s. So that is, if it stays like that, that is an incredibly tight session for pole position. But of course, they've all got at least another run if they can get back to the pits. Tyre wear less of a concern at this track. Bahrain, it's always a question mark of whether the 1 or 2 stop can be done. Here, 1 stop, fairly simple. Even on the Super Soft, and gamerdabest sets an even faster time at 1:32.555, a couple of tenths faster than Louis, aka QPR Beast. Hopefully, if you're regularly watching, you'll get to know some of their names, which are much easier to say. And here is Faunus, one of the Belgian boys in Renault. Had a fairly forgettable race last time, had all sorts of problems keeping the car on the track for some reason. But he's on his flying lap. Faunus, a former PSGL Formula Performance Champion and race winner in F1. I'm not sure if he's won a world title in F1. Someone might have to let me know about that, because I'm still trying to learn. Iran had a disconnect, but he's rejoined, so hopefully he'll be all good. So XJackLacey is the only person who hasn't set a time so far. So at the moment I think it's gamerdabest, QPRB's Oogie, MaxiLuca and Jamie making up the top 5. Pine did a 1:32.888. So it's going to have to be a very good lap to beat the effort that that Gamer just did, but the track will evolve. Skies are darkening a little bit, but I don't think we'll get rain. Not in 12 minutes. 18 minutes, sometimes it's quite lucky. Quite a busy pit lane as they return from their first runs. And here is Paudie, who appears to have run out. Oh, and Lordyboy has left the session. Hopefully he'll be able to rejoin. So Paudie ran out of fuel, so he should be able to get back in time, get out. Just under 5 minutes now, 4.5 minutes to go of this session. And MaxiLuca coming out again for another flying run, not messing about. Skies are getting very dark out there. But I'm trying to find out what the weather is for the race. But I will let you know as soon as I know. Here's XJackLacey, the reigning PSGL F1 champion. Finished in the points, but was caught up in a few incidents last week, so be hoping for something better this week. But we saw his brilliant surge to the title last season in PSGL. But he'll certainly have a tougher task on his hands to retain. So with just over 3.5 minutes to go. Who's your prediction for pole position at this point? Is anyone going to beat Gamer's time? Which, remind you, is a 1:32.555. XJackLacey must have invalidated his first run. Gamefreaker with a 1:33.526. So again, I think that's because they're out on track. Jake did a 1:33.229. I think there'll be more to come from the Force India driver. And So I believe Gamer still has the fastest time here. Let's see who else. TUSZMUSZ, he's opted for the softs, and Faunus is on a 1:34.014. So the Renault team needing to find a little bit more pace. Lordyboy returns to the session, so hopefully we'll get no more issues with disconnects. Wait, what was that? Oh, spots of rain. We are going to get some late rain, so qualifying might be settled already right here. The sky is suddenly darkened, I noticed earlier, and yeah, we've got rain rapidly coming down. Whether that's indication that we're going to get a wet race, I don't know, because no one has said anything in the chat or on team radio. And yep, I believe that is qualifying done and dusted. So anyone who invalidated their first runs have, well, it's going to prove very costly. So I believe that yeah, MaxiLuca isn't going to get pole position with that. I think it's all done. Well, it'll be a miracle if he does. So where is... yeah, here's... I think... yeah, gamerdabest, I think, has still got the best time. Just over a minute to go. Rain is quite common here. xJackLacey's retired from the session, so he's ended his qualifying, and I think everybody will more or less be going back. Team radio from Renault driver Gamefreaker, he crashed out in the final sector, having been 4/10 out from his previous best, so that's too bad for him. But yeah, this downpour really catching out some of the drivers, but for those who'd always set really good times at the front, they'll be okay, but for those who couldn't, they're going to have to think about a different strategy from the back. So the driver's going to be returning back to the grid, sorry, the pit lane rather. So it can be quite a tricky pit entry there if you get your braking wrong. It's not a simple slide in. You have to actually do an extra corner, which is not always helpful. Now, if that rain had come a little bit earlier, it would have been a very mad dash to nail your first lap, but it didn't come quite early enough to affect the first runs. Now, in terms of track penalties, it's relatively difficult to get corner cutting penalties here. There's not many places you can really cut, except for maybe the final corner. That's probably the most common place you can get a cutting warning and penalty if you take a bit too much curb. But apart from that, it's really, drivers of this division shouldn't really be getting penalties. On the other hand, the next round, Russia, that's one of the most hardest tracks to avoid penalties because there's so many places you can trip up on. But that's for next week. So Joel, the last car out on track, returning to the pits, and qualifying is over, and we will get the full screen in a moment. But I do believe that gamerdabest in the Mercedes has taken pole position for the F1 Chinese Grand Prix this evening. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight to watch this, and I really hope we get a good race. And in the chat, last week's race winner claims he bottled his qualifying lap, so tough luck for him. And there we are then. So gamerdabest takes pole position by just under 2/10 from Louis, another impressive showing, and last week's third place man Oogie takes third, MaxiLuca fourth this time, 2/10 away. Jamie and Nick Pine taking the third row, fourth row Paudie and boywithnoface. The Sauber of Joel and Jake in the fourth India make up row 5. Then further down we have Gamefreaker, TUSZMUSZ, Faunus, Lordyboy, and last season's champion xJackLacey could not set a time because he invalidated first lap. Iran and Sambamkid starts at the back, but the reigning champion starts in 15th. So just as a reminder, in case you didn't watch last week, because of the glitches in the game, we have no safety car or formation lap activated. Hopefully there is another patch coming out this week, 1.8, which will fix some of those well reported issues. So the start will be instantaneous, and looks like it's going to be a dry race, at least at the start. But China, like Malaysia, can be quite unpredictable weather-wise. Apparently Lordyboy has some issues with his setup for Williams. It's not loaded up his custom setup, so he's going to have a bit of a struggle out there. So tension builds as we get ready for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix for the F1 League. PSGL and the 5 red lights. Gamer on pole, Louis in second, Oogie in third. And it's go, go, go at Shanghai. Gamer making a decent start, but Louis making an even better start, and he's going to dive down the inside to take the lead in brilliant fashion. And the Williams of MaxiLuca hitting the back of the Haas twice. Might have got wing damage there. And Louis defending from Gamer as they head through the so-called snail section up from turn 3. But what a start by the Toro Rosso driver, and MaxiLuca's fallen down to 5th behind, and Jamie battling with MaxiLuca for 4th. And I think MaxiLuca has hit the back of a Haas again. So let's see what's going on. Joelianomanu holding off MaxiLuca. Oh, and MaxiLuca must have some wing damage because he just went massively wide, and he's losing another place. The Nick Pine around the outside. Yep, there's no question MaxiLuca has wing damage because he's struggling. Yeah, he's knocked off one of his end plates on the right hand side, so he's probably got yellow wing damage. But as I found out to my costs in my F4 race last night, even a bit of wing damage like that can have a massive effect. Joel right behind, but let's go back to the front. And so we see that great snake of cars coming out onto this straight. I mean, look at that. It's like a Dream Scale Electric race. Look at that, all those cars. Into turn 14 for the first time. Louis holding off game of the best, the man who got pole position. Caught out a little bit at the start and losing the place. The 2 Haas cars now running 4th and 5th. And Jamie running in 4th, Pine in 5th. MaxiLuca is runs into the pits for a wing change. And that could be it for his race. Okay, look at this. 3 wide behind. If I can go back. Lordy, oh, and there's a Sauber spinning. Iran just hits the wall. Yeah, Iran hits the wall, and he's got to do an entire lap. But he might just call it a day there because no safety car. But he was caught up to the former PSGL World Champion, having another nightmare start as he did last week. Bit of a gap from the top 2 to Oogie. And Joel defending from Josh, boy with no face, and TUSZMUSZ up to 8th in the Red Bull. So a good start from him. He's on the soft tyres. And XJackLacey has moved up from 15th to 9th. So an excellent start from the reigning champion. Looking for a 1-stop on the mediums. You know, given the races we've seen already, the 1-stop being the best strategy should be fairly common knowledge by now. And look at this. Game of the best trying to get a bit of a slipstream, but not close enough yet. But DRS will be enabled next lap, so he'll be trying to break that. But the top 5 already getting quite a gap to Joel in 6th. I still don't have telemetry, unfortunately. And Jake taking the final championship position. And it's up to 14th. Now where is Iran? Yep, here's Iran, 15th, coming back for a wing change. So rotten luck for him. But back to the front. Gamer beginning to close back onto Louis, to the Toro Rosso of Louis, who finished 2nd in superb fashion last week. Described it as one of his best PSGL drives to date. But winning here at China, that would perhaps rank as the best one. I don't believe he's won a race in F1 yet. This particular division, he was a former race winner, I believe, in F3 and F4. No, just F3 actually, because it was known as F3 then. So DRS activated for the first time. So let's go on board with Gamer. Let's see if QPR can get a decent exit. Try and ward this off. Yeah, Louis getting better acceleration. Oh, and car sliding to the right a bit, and he goes defensive immediately. And look at the speed that Gamer's got. But is he going to run out of road before he's able to dive down the inside? He might have to wait a little longer. Yeah, bit too far away. Louis covers the inside. Two Haas cars. What else is going on? And diving down the inside of Joel is Josh. And the Force India driver moves up to 6th. And Gamer still close. This could be a titanic scrap for the entire race between the top two here. Oogie still running in 3rd, with Jamie just behind and Pine in 5th. Josh holding off Joel, Red Bull, and there's quite a train behind now. We'll call it the Jake train. XJackLacey's fallen back down to 10th, but he's going to be vulnerable from the super soft runners because of the mediums he's got on the moment, but they'll come back to him. Oh, and Jake with quite a big lock up there. He's got the Mercedes Sambamkid just behind, Lordyboy. And then the Renault of Gamefreaker. The Gamefreaker finished 10th last week and he'll be looking for another point score today. So let's go back to the front. End of sector 2. Louis turns through the bends up to turn 13 as they start the acceleration for this kilometre-long back straight here at the Shanghai International Circuit. I will certainly add Faunus is out of the race, so one of the Renaults is gone. And gamerdabest, no, he can't really close the gap. Louis is getting good acceleration out of that turn 13. That's allowing him to keep clear, but he is somewhat holding them up because it's allowing the two Haas cars to close the gap. So we've got a 5-way, well, at the moment a 4-way maybe scrap, because Nick Pine is dropping back a little bit. Now, what can Gamer do as they enter turn 1? Gamer right on the back of the Toro Rosso now, as those two Haas cars get ever closer. And Louis struggling a bit with rear grip. As soon as I get a chance, I will check to see what happened to Paudie. They're going through 7 and 8, sweeping turns. And good evening to you, Big C. Interested Connor, an interested spectator tonight, and he is absolutely right. This is the kind of pressure Louis may not have felt before in F1 at all. We just saw Oogie in the background, almost losing it on the curbs. Yes, quite a lot of them are on no assist Frizzo. Some of them still have medium traction, but most are on no assist, I believe. And I wish it wouldn't keep switching to that camera view, but let's go back to... No, wait. It's not what I wanted to do. So, Gamer closing in, but again, doesn't quite have the straight line speed to get the job done, so you might have to undercut him later on to get past Louis at this rate. So... And Joel running wide, which allows TUSZMUSZ in the Red Bull to close down. Now Paudie, don't know what happened to him specifically, but he's running in 14th. Iran's pitted, but he's a long way behind. MaxiLuca, I think it's safe to say he won't be winning this race today. I did see, if you call it the start of the race, he whacked the back of Oogie's car twice, and that's what did the damage. And Louis looking up his brakes. Oh, look at that! Gamer struggling a little bit in the dirty air. At lap 6. Oh, and Louis catching it just in time. He nearly fell off the road there. But the two Haas cars, so it's kind of as you were at the moment for the top 4. So just a reminder, gamerdabest took pole position, but at the start of the race, Louis got a brilliant lift off and took the lead into turn 1. And Louis going defensive immediately. Is gamerdabest any closer? I think he's a little bit closer, but again, he's just going to run out of road. He's just not getting the best exits out of turn 13. That's what's really costing him. Chance. Oh, and gamerdabest has lost it into turn 14, and that allows Oogie to move up to second. He did well to save it, Gamer, but he still lost the place as a result, and he's now going to be vulnerable to Jamie in the other Haas car. And Nick Pine pits on lap 7. Quite an early pit stop. And now Jamie diving down the inside of Gamer. Can he take third place away from the Mercedes driver? And he does. So Gamer has dropped down from second to fourth in the space of a few corners thanks to that mistake. And we just got some feedback from Faunus, aka Michael, and the car is undrivable, he says, and just crashed off the circuit, unfortunately. So work to do for the Renault team in that respect. So Louis will be quite relieved what happened to Gamer, because it's eased the pressure on him just a little bit. Just going to go back to Pine. He's come out on another set of super softs, so he's going for the 2-stop. So that he's going for a different sort of strategy, but I fear that will not be the correct one from where he was. So we'll have to see how that works out for him. MaxiLuca still going around in 14th. Iran 15th. Lordyboy is pitted for another set of super softs, 15th. These are quite early pit stops. Could be testament to how much they're battling out there. And Gamer pits. And I think that massive lock-up he did the previous lap may have ruined his tyre, so he's probably had to come into pits. TUSZMUSZ moves up to 6th. And look at this train of cars here. Jake trying to defend from practically half the field here. Had apparently a good result in AOR yesterday. But look at that, it's got Joel, Sambamkid and the reigning champion xJackLacey right behind him. TUSZMUSZ will be hoping not to get sucked into this little scrap. It's just ahead of them. And gamerdabest going for the one-stop strategy with the medium compound. And MaxiLuca just comes out in front of him, and I think Gamer will be quite happy about that. He probably wouldn't have wanted to get stuck behind MaxiLuca, because that might have cost him quite a bit of time. So Louis leading the two Haases of Oogie and Jamie. Josh running in a very good 4th position at the moment on the super softs. TUSZMUSZ on the soft tyres running in 5th, so he'll be looking good for the one stop. And I expect most of the field will be running that. So let's go into the middle of this pack. Get the review for the rear mirror, and I think further back it was a poor exit from Sambamkid, and that's going to allow Gamefreaker, both on the soft tyres. They both have DRS in the head. xJackLacey trying to get past Joel, and he dives down the inside, or at least tries to. And Joel retains position, but Gamefreaker behind picks up 9th position. And now can Joel do anything? He defended well from the Ferrari driver just then, but now he moves to the left. xJackLacey doesn't go for a dive down the inside. Oh, and they touch, and look at Gamefreaker on the right trying to get involved here. Who's going to have the better traction? You think the soft tyres would, but xJackLacey just staying ahead. But is Gamefreaker going to dive down the inside? Yes, he is. The Renault driver moves up to 8th, but he gets the switch back. Does xJackLacey, the reigning champion, and he's going to go for a drag race here. And he takes it round the outside. But his Gamefreaker is still going to try and come back at him. Well, that was great stuff. So back to the front. We saw Oogie was catching Louis in the race, but just again it was just like Bahrain. He just couldn't quite close in. Oogie's getting closer and closer to Louis. These guys will be thinking about pitting from the Super Softs, perhaps in a lap or so, or even this lap. So let's see what they do. QPR going quite wide, and yes, he pits. The two Haas cars carry on. So let's see. Surely Louis will be going for the one stop, and Josh pits as well. TUSZMUSZ carries on because he's on the soft compound. So let's see then. And Louis going for the medium tyres. Now where is gamerdabest? gamerdabest only going through turn 14 now, so this is going to be nip and tuck for QPR to get back out in front. And he does, easily. Wow, Gamer's lost a lot of time, a massive amount of time. I know he wasn't next to him, but he was only a few seconds behind even after his mistake. But wow, that's the undercut hasn't worked for Gamer. I think it was too early a pit stop. He'll still be going to the end. Josh has come out just behind Gamer. So back to the front. Now the two Haas cars carry on. We know that these two have very good tyre wear, so they could be going a bit deeper into the race. So Jamie. Oh my goodness. Bit of lag there. Well, I thought Louis had switched to the mediums, but maybe that's a visual glitch, I'm not sure. But Jake, free of that traffic, but there's lots of pit stops going on now. xJackLacey will of course carry on because he's on the mediums and he's fourth off Gamefreaker for now. Sambamkid has dropped pretty far back, just behind MaxiLuca. Lordyboy gonna see if he can go for a dive down the inside of Joel. Oh, they touch. Joel on the mediums, so Lordyboy pitted early for the Super Softs. Can Lordyboy, he's got the Sambamkid and the other Mercedes just behind. So back to the front, the two Haas cars still carrying on. It's a bit of an awkward situation for Haas, so because if they want to pit at the same time, they have to double stack. So they really going to have to come to some sort of agreement. xJackLacey now up to 4 thanks to these pit stops. TUSZMUSZ running very nicely in the Red Bull. In third, xJackLacey in fourth. And there is Gamefreaker, but rapidly catching him on fresh, I believe, mediums. And interesting insight from Big C, and it's something I was thinking about as well, was that Oogie might think about doing Super Soft, although lap 11. You're welcome to join the commentary box anytime, Mike. Always enjoyed working with you. So Oogie pits, which gives Jamie the lead of the race temporarily. And TUSZMUSZ about 8 seconds behind on the soft tyres, and xJackLacey in third on the mediums. Gamefreaker still going. We got Louis, who I believe is on the medium tyres, so this is probably a visual glitch, is rapidly catching those two. Pine in 6th. Oogie's come out in 7th. Up ahead of Oogie is Nick Pine, who pitted earlier for the Super Softs, and again it could be a glitch. Game of the Best, I'm not sure how he's ended up so far behind Louis, really, unless his pace on the outlap or he made a mistake somewhere. We didn't see that. Just gonna see. No. So Jamie, lap 12 of the Chinese Grand Prix, leads. TUSZMUSZ second, JackLacey third, Gamefreaker fourth, Louis fifth, Pine sixth, Oogie seventh, Gamer eighth, Josh ninth, and MaxiLuca has moved up to 10th, but he's well out of position. He'll have to pit again at some stage. We'll be doing a long stint on these mediums and then another stint on the super soft speed. He had a lap 1 wing change, so he definitely won't be going to the end. But I suppose 27 laps on the mediums if he's got good tyre wear is possible. But we'll have to wait and see. So we've got a couple of battles brewing here. Pine versus Oogie and Louis QBRB's. Oh, and Oogie's already dived down the side. That was a bit of lag there. And the other Haas has pitted. Jamie has come out. And Jamie has ended up ahead of both of them. So Jamie has leapfrogged his teammate Oogie with the overcut. So that's very interesting. He's on the softs and I'm sure he'll be looking to go to the end. Whereas his teammate has opted for the softs as well. So I'm sure they'll be looking to go to the end on these tyres. But very interesting that Jamie managed to leapfrog both of them. And now Louis going for a dive down the inside of Gamefreaker. And Gamefreaker has not a lot of tyre life left, and this should be a fairly routine move for Louis, but he's going to have to defend a little bit. Gamefreaker getting a little bit better acceleration. Louis squeezes him a little bit on the straight. Is that Gamefreaker going for a switch? Locks his tyres, and that was never going to work. And Gamefreaker pits. So Louis now, his next target will be the reigning champion, and it looks like Oogie has got past Nick Pine in the background. Pine trying to come back with the DRS. Oh my god. Thought he was going to think about a dive, but Pine's a little wiser than that. Can't say for sure what tyres Pine is on. I'd be surprised if he was on mediums, but super softs. Just going to have a quick look at the lap times, might give us a bit of a clue. Oh my goodness. Lordyboy has a 3-second penalty. And Joel has a stop go penalty for speeding in the pit, so if he has to pit again he'll have to stay stationary 5 seconds. So that's not good news for the Sauber team. But no other penalties apart from that. But like I said earlier, it's quite difficult to pick up penalties here. So it's not only really the last corner which you can accidentally cut. The rest of it's fairly simple, like Bahrain. So Louis got a decent gap to the two Haas cars, but Jamie running in third, Oogie in fourth. So Haas looking good for some points today. And Gamer slowly catching up to the pack. Be interesting to know where he lost all that time after pitting. And TUSZMUSZ has pitted for mediums, and now he's furiously battling MaxiLuca. TUSZMUSZ with much fresher rubber. So let's see if MaxiLuca, but no, he got a poor exit, so I think TUSZMUSZ will get away, so we will move on. And the fact that Jamie on the softs is beginning to catch up to Louis would definitely suggest that the tyres we see on Lewis's car are definitely a visual glitch. So JackLacey has the lead of the race, but he's out of position. So at the moment, the net lead of the race belongs to Louis, with Jamie just behind and Oogie in third. And Nick Pine running in a very good fifth at the moment, but that will be fourth. Gamer got pole position with an excellent lap, but it's just not gone for him the race so far. He's running in the net position of 5th once Jack pits. So it really looks like once again that XJackLacey is not going to be scoring big points as he continues his title defence. I mean, he said in the pre-season that defending the title would be much harder than winning it. And that's proven to be the case so far this season. And now Jamie has really closed on the back and he sets the fast lap for 1:35.229. Jamie, of course, a former Chinese Grand Prix winner in this division. The last time this circuit was used, which I believe was Season 2 of F1 2016. So Louis got some defending to do. Lap 16 off the Chinese Grand Prix. So this is going to be an interesting battle. XJackLacey pits and comes out onto the soft compound, hoping to run to the end. GamefReaker running in 11th. We must go back to the front now. So Louis leads the Chinese Grand Prix as he has done for most of it since the start. Rounding turn 13, lovely helicopter view here as they go on this 1 kilometre long straight. We saw early in the race that Louis was able to keep ahead of Ugi's Haas on this main straight, but given the pace that Jamie's showing, I think he's going to have a bit more problems on his hands. Jamie getting closer and closer and closer. Will he think about a dive turn? And he does, he goes for a dive, locks the tyres and down the inside, gives him a little bit of a love tap, and Jamie takes the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix. What a move. He wanted that badly, and I think Louis saw it coming, to be fair, and gave him the space, so good racing all round. So Jamie takes the lead. Now the question is, can he keep those softs going to the end? Ugi's sort of fallen back a little bit. And now we got gamerdabest is now closing onto the back of the McLaren and Nick Pine. And speaking of the other McLaren driver, he's currently running in 9th on the medium tyres. Just behind Jake in the Force India, who's also on a medium. So as we talked about before the race, most of the time, most of the field rather will be going for the one stop today. Paudie looking for a move on Jake for 8th place. Just going to go back to the front for a moment. Jamie already pulling out a bit of an advantage, 8 tenths. Louis will be in DRS range, but how much he can do about it, I'm not sure. And look at the speed Jamie's getting out of that corner. I don't think Louis is going to be able to challenge him at this stage unless Jamie makes a mistake. But he gets DRS, so let's see if he gets any closer. That's a terrible view. Out of turn 14, Louis can't close in. Now Pine has got a Mercedes closing in rapidly. Let's see, to answer that question, let's see when Jamie pitted. Jamie pitted on lap 13, so he's got to take those softs to the end. That's borderline, but it is possible. Definitely is possible. I know Ugi could do that, not sure about Jamie. Because, you know, Ugi's tyre wear is ungodly, really. I mean, he's one of the best people in the grid at setting up the cars for tyre wear. MaxiLuca sets a 1:35.165, so fastest lap could be a consolation prize for him. Now Jamie hasn't exactly got away from Louis, still less than a second between the two, and Iran calls it a day. We saw that big crash he had earlier in the race, so he had to do an entire lap with a broken wing, so I'm not surprised that Sauber drivers called it a day. former two-time winner of this particular race, and now MaxiLuca is pitted for the softs to go to the end. Makes me definitely, and Lordyboy has retired from the session. And see the Sauber on the other side of the circuit. So the retirement's starting to pick up. Oogie in third place, just behind. So the top three have quite a gap now. So this is the main battle on track now. Gamer versus Nick Pine, going through the final corner. Corner that doesn't look tricky on the face of it, but actually if you get it wrong, go a bit too wide, you can lose a bag full of time. You've got to really throw yourself into the corner, hit a bit of curb so you can get the best possible line for the main straight, which when the DRS is activated can be very important. So Pine came in for, I believe, not super softs because he's been on these for a long time. So I think he is on the mediums as well, but he pitted quite early, so Gamer's going to have some a tyre advantage. A couple of laps. And Josh running in a very solid 6th again. That's where he finished last week. And TUSZMUSZ definitely having a better time of it today. He nearly got a point last week, but after he did a dive on Gamefreaker on the final lap, he lost control of the car on the curbs, so missed out on points, but looking good for points today. Gamer locks up his tyres, so we go on board with him as we sweep round turns 12 and 13 onto the main DRS straight, and Gamer will definitely have DRS well within a second. So can Pine do anything at all? Hasn't gone particularly defensive yet, sticks to the left. Gamer slowly getting closer. Similar setups on the wings by the looks of it, and Pine retains the position. Didn't feel the need to go defensive, confident with the straight line speed. Top three is still the same. Pine not getting the best exit, that's allowed Gamer to close down, and now we could really see an overtaking opportunity here. Gamer switches to the inside, Pine going later on the brakes to try and defend it. And now Gamer, oh, he sees a little gap, but Pine sees him off for now. So Pine, good defending from him. Don't think there was quite enough of a gap, but gets another poor exit again. And now Gamer's going to look for a move on the outside. Oh, and Gamer nearly losing the back, and Greeny's joined. As a spectator, I guess. And now look at this, Gamer looking for another move around the inside. Pine desperately trying to hold him off. Gets his elbows out a little bit. Oogie's close to the back of QPRB, so I just noticed in the bottom of the screen. But we'll switch back to that in a moment. I just want to see what's going on. Let's see, how close is Oogie now? Just look at the back. So Oogie very close now to Beast, the closest he's been during the battle between these two, which has gone on for quite a lot of the race, but not close enough. Back behind to Pine, who once again has to defend from a Mercedes with much fresher tyres. And Gamer locks up again. If he's not careful, he's going to ruin his tyres. Lap 20. This race has gone insanely quickly. The pace of these drivers, such as it is. But Pine is holding up Gamer, and this is allowing Josh to now diving down to the inside. Gamer, can he get the move done this time? Pine goes late on the brakes, but unlike the previous lap, I don't think it's going to matter this time. As long as Gamer gets his feathering of the throttle right through the snail section, and he moves up to 4th. Can Pine do anything at all to get back past? I don't think he can. Doesn't have the tyres now. Gamer locking up again. And now it's a battle for 9th between another McLaren, but this time the McLaren is the one that's doing the hunting. So keep an eye on that one. XJackLacey in a solid 8th. And now we've got TUSZMUSZ catching up Josh, so there's plenty of good battles going on. Jamie is bolting off away from Louis now, over 3-second advantage. And something's happened to Oogie. He's dropped, he was really close to Louis, whether they came together somewhere. So top three pretty much as you were. So let's see if the McLaren of Paudie, we haven't seen much of, oh, and Paudie flies off the track. Surely extended track limits there, but somehow it's still fairly close to Jake. I'll be amazed if he can still make the move done after losing that time. Doing a bit of cross country there was the, oh, slight tap to the back. Paudie, the Race of Champions winner in PSGL for F1 2016. But that was a bit of a crazy moment for him off-road. But Jake is going to have to go defensive again. Paudie looks for the inside. Bit of a late move from Jake to defend it, and Joel in the other Sauber is out of the race. And Greeny had a quick look at the fields, having missed the race tonight, and decides to leave, which is all good. Yeah, no telemetry unfortunately tonight. Had problems with the server, so I do apologise about that, but it's you know, Simo does a great job on it, so can't expect it to be bulletproof. So hopefully we'll have that again in the future. So Jake holding on to 9th. Let's go back to the front just for a little update. Jamie roaring away, 4-second gap now. A further 4 seconds back is Oogie, Gamer in 4th. Can he catch up to Oogie by the end? Perhaps. Joel out of the race and he's left. Pine in 5th, Josh in 6th. And now TUSZMUSZ is also in DRS range. Brilliant camera view from the director, thank you. I really want to see the rear of the car when I watch someone attack. So Josh trying to make it 2 6th places in a row. And they're both actually starting to close on Pine. Pine, for whatever reason, he is on old tyres because he pitted for the mediums earlier than anyone else. Any other battles going on? MaxiLuca in 12th, but a point score looks impossible for him now. So we have only 13 runners of the 17 who started. Sambamkid at the back. So Jamie, he won the Chinese Grand Prix last time here in mixed conditions, and once again proving his mastery of the circuit. But he is on the soft tyre, so pitted for those on lap 13. He can make them last. It's a fantastic strategy. But Louis on for a very solid result. He's gone for the standard super soft. He's running negative fuel though, so that could be one of the reasons why he's dropping quite a bit back to Jamie, lap to lap, trying to get his fuel back. So I think one of the reasons why he probably got the jump on game and starts because he did put less fuel in the car to get him off the line. So TUSZMUSZ getting closer, but Pine's going to have to do some defending soon. XJackLacey and Loney 8th. Jake still defending from Paudie. Paudie's a little bit closer this time, not taking his Colin McRae rally route. And Jake goes defensive, and look at that late braking by Paudie. Can he get the switch back? Gets better traction. And Jake forces Paudie slightly to the left, and there's a Renault Gamefreaker that's catching up. And there's MaxiLuca. And Paudie goes to the inside, the outside, sorry. Jake going defensive again. But he compromises his own line a bit, and that's going to allow Paudie to get a little run. Oh, and they touch. Quite a heavy touch there. But Jake maintains it just for now. Battle for 9th. And Jake forces him off, and onto the gravel goes Paudie. And he's going to have zero grip for a few moments, and that's going to allow Gamefreaker to dive down the inside to move up to 10th. I think Paudie might be having some Fernando Alonso style team radio in Irish at this point. Probably not happy with Jake's move at all. And MaxiLuca, to add insult to injury, takes 11th place. And MaxiLuca, incredibly, having had a lap 1 wing change, is on the verge of the points. Oh, what an incredible turnaround that would be, given how long the length of the lap is here, to be able to reclaim that time. Let's stay on board. I'm just going to quickly check back just to make sure there's been no change. No, Jamie, yeah, top 3 hasn't changed, but Gamer has got past Nick Pine for 4th. Oh no, we saw that. Yeah, my bad. We saw that already. Hard to keep track of everything. So, can MaxiLuca, lap 24. Oh, it's a poor bit of braking by GameFreaker. MaxiLuca with the better tyres, of course. So, can MaxiLuca take 10th place in the final point? He's got the better tyres and he's going to go for a dive down the inside, and can he hold it? And he does. A very brave move by MaxiLuca with the better tyres, and he gets it done. So MaxiLuca back into the points after that disastrous first lap where he hit the back of Ugi and badly damaged his wing. And he could still be on for 9th because Jake clearly is struggling with those medium tyres. So we'll return to them shortly. Lap 25 of the Chinese Grand Prix for PSGL F1. Jamie leads the way. Started 4th on the grid. Actually no, he started 5th on the grid actually. So made a solid start. And then when Gamer made quite a big mistake early in the race when challenging Louis for the lead, he took advantage to move up to 3rd. Then in the pit stops he jumped with the bit of lag there. With the overcut he jumped his teammate Ugi, and then eventually challenged and passed Louis. Got Sambamkid who's pitted for super softs. Gamer is now closing in on Ugi for the final podium. Ugi on fairly worn softs now, so he's going to have some defending to do. Pine running in 5th. TUSZMUSZ has got past Josh for 6th. Oh, wait, was that Pine just then? Yeah, now Pine is now dropping further and further back, and now TUSZMUSZ could be challenging him for 5th. And now we've got Jake under attack from MaxiLuca, who fancies a couple of extra points. They are running through sector 1 at the moment, and Jamie now has a back marker challenging him. Well, with the gap Jamie has, you might as well just let him go. Doesn't need to get involved in any shenanigans like this. And yeah, brakes very early and just says, Sambam, you go on kid, I don't need this. I'm leading this race. So Louis nearly 6 seconds behind as Jamie begins his penultimate lap, and Sambam setting the fast lap, mainly probably because of that slipstream, so 1:34, so a good lap from him. Ugi starts his penultimate lap. Let's go back. Pine now. That's got a couple of hungry cars behind him for points. TUSZMUSZ, I have to say, he's had a really solid race. Started on the softs, kept out of trouble, switched to the mediums, and he's really done a very calm race. And the Jake train, which you've seen a couple of times this race, continues. And MaxiLuca, will he go for another dive down the inside? Oh, MaxiLuca struggling in dirty air a little bit, losing it to the left. Now, and GameFreaker lost his place in the points, but hasn't given up, because who knows, might see a bit of collision here. MaxiLuca looking for a move around the outside, and he gets better traction. Surely he's not going to try and do a move down here. Oh, they touch. Jake desperately trying to hold on. Oh, that could have been a disaster. And MaxiLuca forced wide by the robust defending. Look at this. 4 cars. This is what these points mean to these guys. And now Paudie's going to take 11th place. Well, Jake defending this point like his life depends on it. Jamie starts the final lap of the race. But I don't want to go away from this battle. I will switch back to the race leader. But this is fast and furious stuff in the midfield. After this corner I will switch to the race leader just to get an update on him. So the Haas cars must have come up with a strategy to super softs and the setup to work to perfection for them. I'm just quickly going to switch back. Jamie finishing the first sector, Oogie in third. Gamer not quite close enough to catch up. And continuing to defend for his life is Jake from MaxiLuca, Paudie and Gamefreaker. This brilliant scrap. Now what about Nick Pine, because he was defending from TUSZMUSZ, and I believe he's been passed. Now going back to Jamie. Jamie going down the main straight for the last time. He's only got a few corners. It's been an absolutely brilliant drive from him, and Jamie's eased off on the pace a little bit just to do some tyre saving. Game is going to be too far back. Back to Jake in the battle for 9th. Entering sector 2 now. But back to Jamie. It's been a magnificent performance from the Welshman, one of the contenders for the title this season. And Jamie will cross the line and win the Chinese Grand Prix of PSGL F1. Louis, second again. A brilliant start to the season for him. Not quite enough for the win. And Oogie finishes third. Gamer fourth. TUSZMUSZ will finish an excellent 5th. And now, back to this furious battle for 9th place. MaxiLuca going around the outside. And now Jake forced off. And is Paudie going to steal both the places? Jake defending for his life. He gets forced over. And look at these cars going over the line. Oh my goodness, what a battle they had. Jake takes 9th. I don't know who took 10th. But that was a amazing battle. Sambamkid. Not a lap down, so credit to him for keeping going. Just didn't really work out for him. But a brilliant result for Jamie, and we will speak to him, Oogie and Louis shortly. Just going to wait for this Mercedes driver, who's on a bit of a Sunday drive at the moment, unfortunately, but I'm sure he will have some better results as the season goes on. So, a great result for Haas, which I believe takes them to the top of the Constructors' Championship. But Louis goes to the top of the championship, I do believe, with 24 points after 2 second place finishes, with MaxiLuca getting 10th possibly, but I'm going to have to check as the result. And here's our podium. The Haas team laying down a marker today, 1st and 3rd, and the American boy is very happy, but Louis will be particularly happy with his second place in a row for Toro Rosso. And there they are, spraying the champagne. It's been a great race for all 3 drivers, and we saw plenty of good action in the Chinese Grand Prix today. And the next one will be the Russian Grand Prix in a week's time, and we hope you can join us for that. But we're going to interview the top 3 momentarily. So, final result, Jamie takes the victory for Haas, and then QPR beats for Toro Rosso 2nd, Oogie in 3rd, Gamer in 4th. He'll be slightly disappointed having got pole position about the way his race went. TUSZMUSZ with an excellent 5th, having started 12th on the grid. Josh finishing 6th, just as he did last week. XJackLacey finishing 7th. Pine dropped down to 8th in the end. Jake finishing 9th. MaxiLuca getting the final championship point after that mad scramble. So good consolation having to do a first lap wing change. And Gamefreaker, Paudie and Sambamkid were the only finish. Joel, Lordyboy624 and Faunus all retired. Ooh, lot to cover.